Okay. Welcome. Happy after the 4th of July. If I can figure out how to oh, here we go. Buttons got moved. Um, Share my screen. Then we can get started. Okay, here we go. Everyone can hopefully see that. And if you guys have questions during the call, then please ask them and I will try to make sure I see the chat as well. But it doesn't always show up for me. I'm going to pull it up here. There we go. Okay. Thank you for joining. And coming off the holiday weekend, I know can always feel like a lot if you are in the US. Obviously, most of us are coming off of the holiday weekend, which can be a lot in terms of like work and just mental load. And so I wanted to talk about that because I know for me at this stage of life with kids, summertime is already chaotic. And it was hard in a different way when I had little babies. We were just talking about this with the team, but now my kids have like these entire schedules that I have to work around. And so logistically, it can be a challenge to take care of myself, fit in my work, fit in my own needs, and feel my best. And I think if I'm not intentional and I'm just there to serve my family, it can be really easy to let myself be very last and like skip my workout, be scattered with my nutrition, and just like feel suboptimal. And I'm amazed at the difference I feel and that I have seen with our clients when we just take a little bit of intention and planning through the chaos. And that can be the difference of, you know, like taking 5 steps backwards with your goals or just like moving the needle in the direction that you want to go. Um, or even at the least feeling like you're maintaining the progress that maybe you've worked hard on prior to the summer. So I wanted to talk about that today, and just really like how much our mental load can impact our progress and our ability to make the best choices for ourselves. And cognitive research suggests that decision fatigue caused by too many choices and too much responsibility and not enough rest, which is like kind of the recipe for summer sometimes, really impacts our ability to make intentional, healthy choices. And our brain, when overwhelmed, does what it was designed to do, which is to conserve energy, which means our default to is going to be what's easy, right? Getting takeout, grabbing something out of the pantry, just usually probably not a high volume, high protein meal, because we're not prepared. And when we're not prepared, that usually means we go longer without eating or go longer between meals. And then we end up tired and hungry and just want quick fuel. So for me, that's not like I'm going to take 30 minutes and cook up a chicken breast and some veggies. It's like I'm going to grab a piece of toast, which doesn't really sustain me, doesn't really serve me with my goals of building or maintaining lean tissue and feeling my best. So we default to what's easy, and all of us might have a different default, right? We skip what feels optional. So, like, a workout is really easy to miss when the overwhelm is high and we have a high mental load and we have a lot of things to do. And it's like, where in the day I've got 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. If I'm not intentional, that 20 minutes can go by really fast and I'm definitely not going to get a workout in. Where if I'm intentional, I can look at my day and see, okay, I've got a 45-minute break there. Um, Maybe that means I'm not doing my full workout because I still have to shower and go to the next thing, but I can do 30 minutes. All right, what am I going to do in that 30 minutes so I can be as efficient as possible with my time? And you'd be amazed in 20 to 30 minutes, you can move your body and accomplish quite a bit. At least when you zoom out on the whole week, like that really adds up. So, but the difference is just taking a moment to make a plan, and not being so reactive in your day. And then that's number 3, you stay in reactive mode, like always catching up, never moving forward. And so it's really just about being intentional so that you know what your capacity is and be then allowing yourself to be strategic, knowing like you're not going to, it's not black and white. You're not going to accomplish every single thing on your to-do list, but how can you be intentional to check that box of like showing up for yourself in a way that gives back to you? I have been kind of on I go off and on the Huberman Lab podcast, but he just interviewed someone who I love, and I'm like, now I'm of course blanking on his name. Michael Esler, is that what it is? Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael
Easter.
Easter. Michael Easter. Um, so he wrote the book The Comfort Crisis, and it's a great book. I was kind of disappointed when I found out he was my same age because I feel like he's got so much wisdom. But the comfort crisis, he talks in his book about how as humans, yeah, we're in this comfort crisis. Like our lives are just so comfortable that we aren't fulfilled in a lot of ways, and I'm probably butchering this, but essentially like finding that joy and fulfillment comes from doing things that essentially reset our dopamine and our heart. So getting in cold temperatures. He does a lot of, he calls them masogis, where he'll go on like to Alaska for a month and live off the land, and it's so hard. And he talks about how the flight to Alaska is like the most uncomfortable, annoying thing ever. And the flight home is like the best thing he's ever experienced because he just really like resets everything. And where was I getting with that, you guys? Oh, now I just completely lost my train of thought. Though, what was I talking about? Um, he,
I guess your comfort depends on like what you're living in, like what your
yeah,
baseline of comfort is. Depend like what is luxurious for one person is something completely is shit for another.
yes. And I was
That's what
talking
that was my
about
takeaway.
yes, that is important. The reason I talked about his podcast, though, is now I'm blanking on why, but I had another thought. This is what happens when I'm just rolling with random thoughts. I've been listening to his podcast and he interviewed Michael Easter, and I thought it was so good because they talk about, yeah, just doing this is it, investing versus spending. So when we look for extrinsic dopamine, like outside of ourselves, such as scrolling social media, online shopping. There's so, likes on Instagram. There's so many ways that we're getting that little hit of dopamine outside of ourselves. How it's essentially like we're spending our dopamine. And instead, if we focus on activities where we're investing and we're getting that slow trickle dopamine and it's giving back to us, we're going to be so much more fulfilled. And so, examples of this would be like going for a walk. It requires some effort, but it gives back tenfold in our mental health and our physical health. Lifting weights, right? It's challenging, it's hard, but we get so much in return. And so thinking of our day in terms of like, how can I invest in myself? How can I do activities that are going to yield big returns? Um, and that will allow me to like, I can also have some spending activities, right? We're all human, but it feels so much better and we feel so much more fulfilled if we're investing in ourselves in those ways that when we do some spending, some numbing out or whatever that is for you, it's okay because we're also investing and that is going to carry forward into us feeling like our best selves. And so it's not just about do your workout and build muscle so that you look a certain way. It's like doing something that's a little bit challenging every day that gives you that return on better health physically and mentally. And then that builds confidence, that builds resilience, and that carries over into every other area of your life. And then it also supports aesthetic goals too. So I think having a little bit, I think it comes down to just having better systems, but also asking yourself, like, why? why do I want to do these habits? Why is this goal important to me? And getting deeper because dropping a pant size or weighing a little bit less is not likely going to be enough to get you out of bed in the morning and get you out the door on a walk or get you lifting weights when it's hard. Um, it's just like that it's not that powerful of a goal. And so ask yourself like why? Like why do I want this? What really matters to me and who do I really want to become? And that's going to help give you just the motivation to build better systems and be more process oriented with your habits than goal oriented. Go ahead, Henrietta.
Yeah, I was just because my experience is that sometimes clients don't want to go deeper. Like maybe they don't have the energy or they don't want
Yeah.
to open up something because so what would you say, what would your recommendation be for one that just doesn't want to go there? Like because we still want the systems, but of
Well,
course it's gonna be easier to get the systems if we know our why, but if we don't want to dig into the why, like
I think asking yourself one, like, how has that worked for you in the past?
exactly, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like, okay, has that worked for you? Has losing 5 pounds been enough or losing 20 pounds been enough for you to implement habits that you can be that are sustainable for you and you can be
Mm.
consistent with? Then if that's enough, then like, yeah, go get that goal. That's great. But usually when you are seeking support and strategies, it's because you are having a hard time being consistent. And so, like,
Yeah.
yeah, if this goal is important to you, then it's worth taking a day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, a week to like think more deeply on why this goal is important to you. And maybe if you aren't really sure or that's something that's really hard for you to do, then maybe we switch to some process oriented goals. Like, okay, we want to lose 20 pounds. Well, what is that going to take? That's going to be about a pound a week. That's going to be 20 weeks. So that's like 5 months, maybe 6 months, because life can get in the way. So, okay, we have a 6 month goal. So, what do we need to do every month to get towards that goal? All right, then what do we need to do every week? Then what do we need to do every day? Then what do we need to do in different
Mm.
parts of the day? Like, what does this person do every day to get there and breaking it down into more bite-sized pieces and then all right well can you commit to that, is that realistic for you? All right, well then let's set up some. I think for me, like, I love building out systems and plans, and so thinking about breaking it all down into process goals and then deciding like is that realistic for me actually. And if it's not, then I need to probably tweak my goal because
Mm.
I can only expect as much as I can give. And also, I think remembering too, like it's not all or nothing. Maybe you do want to lose 20 pounds, and maybe optimal is 4 to 6 months to lose that, but maybe right now we can only lose a half pound a week because we aren't as going to be able to commit as much and sacrifice as much to be at the intake and work out as often as needed to lose a pound a week on average. And so it's more like, all right, that's still great. I'm still going to feel a lot better with 10 pounds of fat loss. I'm going to improve my health. My blood markers are going to be improved. Like maybe it's not all or nothing. It's just choosing like what is realistic for me right now and what am I going to do when I fail or I have a day that doesn't go as planned. I think talking about those things too and like why will I keep going? Is that 10 pounds of fat loss like really enough when life is busy to stay consistent through it? Does that feel like enough for me? And so I think just like allowing yourself to think through the process more. I think it's so easy to throw out a goal and just get that dopamine hit, right? Of like, I'm going to do this because it feels really good to envision yourself achieving something. But when you actually think through, okay, that means I have to pre-log my food. Am I doing that for tomorrow? That means I have to hit my protein. That means I have to get my workouts in. Am I scheduling those and prioritizing those like I would a work meeting because that's important now and I have to make some sacrifices. Am I going to bed on time? And thinking through the week and like making sure I get enough sleep. So I think I think being willing to really like put way more energy into the process than the goal is what helps most people. But sometimes that takes someone else looking at your process too and like having an outside perspective and helping you kind of zoom out on what matters most. And that's where coaching can be so beneficial too. But yeah, as a
Mm.
coach, like we're kind of limited by what our clients give us. And so if you're not willing to, as a client, dig a little bit deeper, then it does make it harder on us as a coach because I think a lot of times like the goals are so superficial or can feel superficial, like, all right, why do you want to lose that weight? Maybe it's just aesthetics for you. Okay, well, why is that important to you? And digging deeper, or maybe it's like, man, I want to, my health is really at a detriment. So getting really clear on why that's important, um, is what's going to help you when it's hard, which is going to be more often than not.
Mm. I also do believe like if one is lowering the bar and having more of that something over nothing mentality, just so you get started and you see you get some wins. I feel like it's easier to kind of dig deeper when you're feeling like you're winning. But if
Yeah.
you're feeling like you're doing everything and you're not getting anywhere, I think it's harder to go into the whys, even if that's maybe one of the most important times to go into the big why. I think it's harder. As I think just getting somewhere so that you're getting some wins, then just that digging becomes a little bit easier. I don't know, I'm not sure if that's correct, but I get the
Like
feeling that it is.
action then gives you motivation.
Yep.
I think
And
absolutely.
motivation, and then when you're motivated, you have more energy, and then yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today and I talked a little bit about it on my stories and I kind of have some habits that help like build better systems here we can talk about. But I think a lot of times we feel so scattered and we feel like we need just this like huge life overhaul to yield progress and change. And it really is like, what's a way to give yourself a win and create momentum? Like that's what we really want is momentum because that is what helps us just keep stacking those wins and building that confidence. And Craig and I have just started walking every morning, like getting up in the 6 o'clock hour. Sometimes they're on the early end, sometimes on the later end, and just getting outside the door. Like first thing, I brush my teeth and I throw my shoes on and we just go outside the door and we just walk a half mile. Like I would probably prefer to go longer. That's his like his he's still good with a half mile. And so I usually will walk more in the day, but it's like it's been crazy to me because I'm such a when I wake up I just want to like be cozy for a minute and I want to make my coffee and just like sit and do nothing. And then it can feel so hard for me to like, okay, if I have a workout scheduled and I have a friend coming over, I'm like on it. I know I'm going to do it. But if it's just me and I'm going to work out sometime in the morning, I'm like, well, I could work out. It just takes me so much longer to get going. Those transitions can feel really hard for me in the mornings. And since we've been just like getting outside the door on a walk, I have to make just one decision. That's the only decision that I have to make. And instead of like, when am I going to work? When am I going to work out? All these other things, I just am like, I got to just put my shoes on and get out the door. And so we've been doing that. And it's just like such a small thing. It's really probably, I think, 10 minutes of our time, depending on how fast or slow we do that half mile walk. And we have a moment to connect. We have a moment to think through our days. We have a moment to kind of like, problem solve. There's just something different about moving outside that helps my brain just like have more clarity. And I know there's a lot of research on that too. But I feel such a difference. And then I come in the door and I'm like immediately like, okay, what am I, am I working out now? What am I doing? And I'll have my coffee. And I just feel like I go into make my bed and tidy things up. And I just have so much, I'm already in motion. So everything else feels so much easier for me. And I think even as simple as that, like, what is protein? What's my optimal protein? What are my calories? When can I get a workout in? How am I going to drink water? Like, when am I getting outside? Just like doing one thing and make it that first thing you do in the day. So you feel like I went on a short walk this morning. I won my morning. I showed up for myself. Maybe that's all you get. And it doesn't need to be an hour. It doesn't need to be a weighted vest walk. Just 10 minutes um, can just like really do a lot for your mental health and give you that small win that it feels easier to then stack other things on top of that that are going to support you. And so I think what Henrietta said totally applies. Just what is a win that you can give to yourself that's going to help you build confidence and build momentum? That is really
Mm,
the goal. And then it's building in strategies. Like, I think if you do that one thing, then maybe you look at this list and you decide some other things that feel doable. Not all of them, probably, but a few. So, like, take 15 minutes on Sunday to map out 2 to 3 go-to meals for the week. They
mm,
don't need to be extensive, huge recipes. They can be Kevin's pre-made chicken that you just heat up, some microwavable rice and some veggies. Like just okay, I'm going to do that these 3 days and we have busy sports and we have like good nutritious meals that are going to serve us so we're not getting takeout this week. Just look at your week and decide that. Choose maybe 2 workout windows. What are 2 days I can get in 30 minutes of resistance training? That's great. I'm going to lay out my clothes and have that ready so I can just get up and go. I don't have to make so many decisions that day. Build a default day. So creating like when we've talked about this before on calls, but creating a no motivation fallback plan, your autopilot meals and movement. So like what is your default fault day? Or Sam has talked about this before with having like guardrails in place. Maybe you're not tracking your food that day. Maybe it's just like a really busy day. So maybe your default day is I do like 2 rounds of a circuit in my living room and I make sure I have 30 ounces of water with my breakfast and I get in protein. And that's kind of like your default day. And you have maybe a breakfast or a lunch and dinner, like canned salmon and some a English muffin for lunch with like whatever veggies are in the fridge. Dinner is just a one of those meals that I just said. That's just something you always have in your fridge in your pantry. So if the day is busy, you can get nutritious meals in, you can get some movement in and just move on, right? Instead of just getting takeout and not doing anything and feeling sad about it. Like you have a way to do something over nothing. I love habit stacking. This is something I talk about all the time, but attaching new habits to ones that are already a part of your routine. Think a protein shake while making kids' lunches or walking during sports practices. That's one I've implemented in recent years. Like, okay, I'm stuck here for an hour.
I asked
What?
Heidi.
So that's one that is great too. Like if you're driving your kids everywhere, what are some habits you can stack with that? Maybe it's packing vegetables. Maybe it's while you're sitting there, like you get your work tasks done so that when you get home, you can get a workout in. Or maybe it's just you're walking while they're doing their thing. I've even walked at games before, which is not like my preference, but it's like that is the only time today I have to get a walk in. I'm just gonna walk back and forth while I watch their game and I can see the game actually a little bit better. And I feel like I checked that box and I showed up for myself today. And then this one is huge. Like maybe we aren't tracking our food, but we have a list of some high fiber, high protein, convenient options that we can get in 2 to 3 per day. Those are going to help us feel a lot better so that we can make better choices for ourselves. Eating high fiber, eating high protein is going to support us so much so that we're not overeating later in the day. We're satisfied and fulfilled, and so we can wait a minute and like make a real meal. We're not just grabbing things on the go. So this is a huge one. Um, and then track what you did do, like track your food. Okay, maybe today was 40% like towards the goal. Maybe tomorrow we get a little bit better. Maybe today we went over on your calorie goal by 300 calories and we were under by 40 grams of protein. All right, like what are some little adjustments we can make tomorrow to be a little closer to that goal? It does not need to be, oh crap, I'm going to now cut 300 calories from tomorrow and I'm going to double my protein. Like, no, what can we do to just tweak things slightly, make a plan for tomorrow, and that gives us a template for success. So I think,
I think that's also why why tracking your data, like just having data makes that task so much easier, because when you have the data, you can actually look and see what changes can I make, instead of just like, going off what you think has
Yeah.
happened. Now you have the data to look at. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what is important to you, you will pay attention to, right? And so I think to have goals and be like, oh, I'm just gonna like hopefully do the steps needed to get there. I would never approach a physical performance goal that way. I would never think, okay, and maybe some people do this. So maybe this isn't it's relatable. But if I signed up for a marathon, I'm not going to just like hope I get my training in so I'm prepared for the race on race day. I'm gonna make a plan and like look at the next whatever few months and make sure I'm just showing up, and I'm also not going to expect to be race ready in week one. I'm going to slowly build in volume and intensity over time so that I feel really good come race day. Same with a weight loss goal. Like maybe you want to lose 20 pounds, like that's a big deal. Okay, well, how can we slowly build in habits so that we feel really confident moving forward in fat loss? We're not going to cut 1,000 calories right out the gate and add 6 hours of training into our week. Like, yeah, that might bring us towards our goal, but that's also going to burn us out really quick and probably cause an injury. So, how can we keep that momentum going and do just enough to make the needle move in the direction we want to go, but also still show up for our lives? We're likely not single and have just all the time in the world. Most of us have work and families that need us. And so it is possible to achieve your goals. It just takes some intention and knowing what's most important to focus on. And so we are doing a little challenge next week. This is the first week of the new cycle of workouts for HF Physique. So hopefully all of you guys are enjoying those so far. I know it's only Monday. And then next week we are starting our Thrive Through Summer challenge. So we're going to be sharing some of our favorite go-to meals and recipes over the 4 week period. We'll be habit stacking, meaning we'll be doing a new habit each week and just building on the things that are going to be most helpful for feeling our best and really lay that foundation for success, whether that's wanting to build muscle, wanting to lose body fat, wanting to feel energized and just feel your best. Like that foundation is kind of the same regardless of your goals, whether they're performance or aesthetic. Making sure you have a good foundation in place is really important. So we are going to be just doing a little accountability challenge, like carrying through summer so that we feel our best when school starts and we can build from there. And we'll be doing weekly giveaways. It's just $40 to join because I want to be able to do weekly prizes. And then we're also giving away 3 months of one-on-one coaching to someone at the end of it. Um, we're really excited about that. And as you sign up, you'll join the group and I will be loading habits the day before we begin on Monday, the 14th. And this is meant to be like integrated into your lives. Bringing a little bit of intention so that you feel your best and you're investing in yourself. So hopefully, um, that feels realistic for you guys. Hopefully, this gives like a little bit more hope if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, that it doesn't have to be a huge life overhaul to feel great in the chaos. It really is possible, but having some things on autopilot and building better systems can be such a big game changer. Anything to add, coach wise, or any questions?
Great topic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think we could probably talk about this like every week, especially for our client population. And this is just something we talk about with clients regularly. So I feel like this time of year, it is a good one to talk about. So if you guys have any questions, ask them in the groups and we would love to discuss more. Or join our challenge. We're going to be getting a lot more in depth on strategies and ideas in there as well. So hope everyone has a great week. Happy July, and we'll see you guys next week or in the app. Thanks.